What if one day you realized your entire life was a lie? 33 years of marriage, a loving home, 2 grown children. Alistair Ford believed his family was unshakable until the cracks began to show. At first, they were subtle: a distant glance, a forced smile, a text message from an unknown number that changed everything. When he saw the name Grant on her phone, he didn't yet realize it was the point of no return. He didn't know that what lay ahead wasn't just betrayal, it was war. Cold, calculated, ruthless. The only question left was, who would come out on top? Hello, my friend. I'm so glad you stopped by my channel. If it's your first time here, don't forget to subscribe and like this video, as every like truly inspires me. Now, let's get started. I learned in the harshest way possible just how delicate trust can be, and how quickly a man's life can unravel without warning. My story takes place a few years back, during a time when I believed my family was whole, though in hindsight, I now recognize the naivety of that assumption. My name is Alistair Ford. I am 58 years old, and for 33 years, I was married to my wife, Sabrina. Together, we built a life, raising 2 children, Adam, now 25, and Hannah, 22. Our marriage, like any other, had its flaws. No relationship is without its struggles, but I had always believed that the foundation we built was strong, that our love was as steadfast as the walls of our home. We had endured hardships, faced the natural challenges of any long-term commitment, yet I never doubted our dedication to one another. I was wrong. The illusion of stability began to crumble a few months ago when Sabrina's behavior started to shift in ways I couldn't ignore. Sabrina had always been ambitious, excelling in her role as a project manager at a well-known marketing firm. Long hours were nothing out of the ordinary, but lately, her late nights at the office had become increasingly frequent. At first, I brushed it off, attributing it to a demanding project or the corporate restructuring her company was undergoing. But then, small details started to stand out, subtle changes that gnawed at me. One evening, after an ordinary day at work, I walked into the kitchen to find Sabrina preparing dinner, just as she always did. Everything seemed normal, yet something felt off. She was distant, preoccupied, as though her thoughts were elsewhere. Her movements were slightly more rigid than usual, her expression tense. I told myself I was imagining things, but deep down, an unease took hold. "Is everything all right?" I asked, settling into my chair with the evening paper. "Yeah, of course," she responded, but there was a tightness in her voice, a hesitation that didn't sit right with me. I couldn't place exactly what was wrong, so I let it go. Then, a few nights later, I noticed a text message on her phone. It was brief, from an unknown number, and read, "Looking forward to tonight. It's been too long." I didn't react immediately. Instead, I tried to rationalize it. Perhaps it was just a casual message from a colleague, a harmless exchange between friends. But no matter how much I tried to reason with myself, the words clung to my thoughts, refusing to fade. I had no proof, no real reason to make accusations. Sabrina had never given me cause to doubt her before. Was I simply being paranoid? The following week, I brought up her late nights again. She tensed slightly before offering a quick, dismissive response. "It's just work, Alistair. You know how it is." Her tone was sharper than usual, her demeanor guarded. I noticed the shift, yet I forced myself to ignore it. I wanted to trust her, to believe that everything was as it had always been. But an unease had settled inside me, growing heavier with each passing day. Then came the company party, a standard corporate gathering, nothing out of the ordinary. Sabrina had mentioned it in passing weeks before, but when I brought it up again, her reaction was odd. "Am I invited?" I asked, keeping my tone light. "Of course," she said, though she avoided my gaze. "But it's mostly work people. I didn't think you'd be interested." Something about the way she answered felt too smooth, too rehearsed, as if she had anticipated the question. Though I let it drop, Doubt took root. She never mentioned the party again. A week before the event, I ran into an old friend, Rick Sather, at a cafe. Rick and I had worked in advertising together years ago, and we still kept in touch occasionally. As we chatted, the subject of the party surfaced. "Are you going?" I asked casually. Rick looked at me, puzzled. "Of course. I assumed you'd be there. Sabrina always goes to these things with her team. You're not coming?" "No," I replied slowly. "She said I wasn't invited." Rick frowned. "That's odd. It's an open event. Spouses are always included. She's been involved in planning it for weeks." My stomach twisted. This wasn't a simple oversight. Sabrina hadn't just forgotten to invite me. She had deliberately chosen not to. But why? That evening, I confronted her, keeping my voice even. "You didn't mention the party." She hesitated for just a beat too long before responding. "I must have forgotten. Sorry, I thought I told you." I didn't believe her. "Rick Sather mentioned that all spouses were invited. Why didn't you tell me?" Her expression hardened slightly. "I'm sure I did," she said, her voice tinged with irritation. There was a strain in her words now, an urgency to shut down the conversation. And that's when I knew. I was standing at the edge of something far bigger than a forgotten invitation. The woman I had shared my life with for more than 3 decades, the woman I thought I knew better than anyone, was hiding something. Over the following days, the weight of suspicion became unbearable. The late nights, the guarded responses, the cryptic text. I had tried to ignore the warning signs, convinced myself that I was reading too much into things. But the puzzle pieces were falling into place, forming a picture I couldn't deny. Something was deeply wrong. And for the first time in my marriage, I had to face a terrifying reality. I no longer knew the woman I had pledged to spend my life with. I needed evidence, something undeniable to validate the unease that had been gnawing at me. Lately, she had grown secretive, especially with her phone, a stark contrast to the openness we once shared. Determined, I began to observe more closely. One evening after she had left for work, I picked up her phone again, scrolling through her messages, and then I found it. A text that made my stomach drop. This one was different. It was from someone named Grant. "Can't wait for tonight. See you after the meeting. I'll be at your place as planned." A cold wave of dread washed over me. Grant? I had never heard that name before. The implications of the message were impossible to ignore. Sabrina was meeting another man. The weight of the realization hit me like a sledgehammer. My thoughts spiraled. Was this the person she had been sneaking away to see on all those late nights? I couldn't be certain, but one thing was clear. I couldn't dismiss this any longer. My hands shook, my stomach churned with a mixture of anger and heartbreak. What was I supposed to do next? Should I wait and gather more proof? Should I follow her to see it with my own eyes? The fear of what I might uncover rooted me in place, but I knew I couldn't sit idly by. The uncertainty was unbearable. I had to find out the truth. The following days felt torturous. Sabrina had grown even more distant, her mood shifting unpredictably. She avoided eye contact, her responses to my questions vague and evasive. The signs were everywhere. The way she kept her phone face down, how she slipped out of the room for hushed conversations, the nervous energy she carried. It was driving me insane. That night, I made up my mind. I would follow her. Over dinner, she casually mentioned she had a late client meeting. I didn't challenge her. I just waited. The moment she stepped out, I grabbed my keys and quietly followed. My heart pounded as I kept my distance, trailing her car through the dark streets. A part of me wanted to turn back, to pretend I had never read that message, but I knew I wouldn't. She drove for about 20 minutes before pulling into a quiet, unfamiliar neighborhood on the outskirts of town. I parked a few streets away, my hands gripping the steering wheel as I watched her. She pulled into the driveway of a house I had never seen before. For a moment, she sat in her car, hesitating. Then, She stepped out and walked toward the door. I sat frozen. The street was eerily quiet, the weight of the night pressing in around me. Was this where she had been going all those times? Was this Grant's house? I struggled to process the reality before me. The woman I had spent over 30 years with, the one I had built my life around. Was she really doing this? I waited. The minutes dragged into what felt like hours, but she never came back out. A sickening certainty settled over me. I couldn't sit there any longer. Starting my car, I drove home, but the image of her stepping through that door was seared into my mind. There was no undoing this, no coming back from it. I had to confront her. When I walked through the door, she was already there, curled up on the couch, feigning interest in the TV. She didn't even look up as I entered. I stood there for a moment, watching her, my mind racing. How was I supposed to say this? How did I even begin? Finally, I took a breath and spoke. "Who is Grant?" Her body went rigid. For a long moment, she said nothing. Then, as she turned to face me, I caught the flicker of panic in her eyes. She tried to collect herself, but the damage was done. "Alistair, She faltered, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's not what you think." A hollow laugh escaped me. "Not what I think?" My voice was steady, too controlled. "Then what is it, Sabrina? Who the hell is Grant?" She shifted uncomfortably, her eyes darting away. He's just a friend, Alistair. I swear, a friend." My blood boiled. Did she really expect me to believe that? A friend who sent secretive texts? A friend she met in secret? I clenched my fists, struggling to keep my voice even. "Do you think I'm stupid?" I asked, my tone sharp. "I saw the messages, Sabrina. I know you've been sneaking around. Stop lying." Tears welled in her eyes, but I felt nothing. Not anymore. "Alistair, please, just listen. Listen." I cut her off, my voice laced with exhaustion. "I've been listening to your lies for months. I've given you chance after chance, but I'm done." The words left my mouth before I could stop them, but they were true. In that moment, something inside me fractured. This wasn't just betrayal. It was the end of everything we had built. I was livid. The sting of betrayal coursed through me like fire, searing and relentless. She needed to hear the truth, the unfiltered, brutal reality of what she had done. Tears streaked her cheeks, her face a portrait of regret, but I felt nothing. Whatever sympathy I once had for her had long since vanished. "How long, Sabrina?" My voice was like a blade, slicing through the heavy silence. "How long has this been going on?" Her lower lip quivered before she finally whispered, "A few months." The words barely left her mouth before she sucked in a shaky breath. "I never meant for it to happen, Alistair. It was a mistake, something small that spiraled out of control. I didn't want it to end up like this." Her explanations rang hollow. My fists tightened at my sides as I fought to keep my composure. Yelling wouldn't undo what had been done. I wouldn't be fooled by her remorse, wouldn't allow her desperate pleas to rewrite the past. I had invested years into this marriage, years of trust, of devotion, of blind faith. And what did I get in return? Betrayal? Humiliation? "I'm finished," I said, my voice steady despite the fury clawing at my insides. "This marriage is over, Sabrina. I won't stay with someone who could deceive me like this. Whatever happens next, you'll have to handle on your own." Her face contorted with panic. "No, Alistair, please, don't do this. I'll end it. I'll cut him off. I swear we can fix this." I took a step back, shaking my head. "I can't even look at you without seeing him. The thought of it, of what you did, makes me sick." Without another word, I turned and walked away, leaving her sobbing in the wake of a choice that would change everything. For days, I drifted through a haze of anger and disbelief. The same cruel thoughts replayed in my mind, circling like vultures. And at the center of them all was Grant, a man I had never met, yet who had stolen something that belonged to me. He had crossed a line, and I wouldn't let it go unpunished. Not yet. Not until I decided exactly how to make him pay. I had always prided myself on restraint, on rationality, but this was different. There was a darkness in me now, something simmering just beneath the surface. I wasn't just a betrayed husband. I was a man with a purpose, and I would ensure they both faced the consequences. I started with Grant. Digging into his life was easier than I anticipated. People always leave traces, especially when they think they're untouchable. His name was Grant Fuhrer, a sales manager at a rival firm. I unearthed everything: his job, his home, his routines, his weaknesses. With each new revelation, my plan solidified. One afternoon, I made my move. Entering his office under the guise of a business discussion, I found him waiting, unaware that this meeting was anything but professional. He greeted me with an easy smile, offering his hand like we were nothing more than strangers. "Alistair, right? I've heard a lot about you." He motioned toward his desk. "What can I do for you?" I forced a calm demeanor, though my blood boiled beneath the surface. "I've been considering our companies," I said smoothly. "There might be potential for collaboration." His grin widened, enthusiasm lighting up his face. He launched into a sales pitch, completely unaware that every word only fueled my fury. And then, when the moment was right, I struck. "You know, Grant," I said, leaning in, my voice edged with quiet menace, "I've been hearing your name a lot lately. And honestly, I'm surprised. Surprised that a man like you would be foolish enough to involve himself with my wife." His expression shattered, his confidence evaporating in an instant. "Your wife? Alistair, I don't know what you're talking about." I held his gaze, unflinching. "Don't insult me by playing dumb. I know everything. The messages, the meetings, the deception. Do I look like someone who lets things slide?" His face turned ashen, his breath coming in uneven gasps. He fumbled for words, searching for an escape. I gave him none. "Here's what's going to happen," I continued, my tone ice cold. "You're going to stay away from Sabrina. No calls, no texts, not even a passing glance. If I so much as suspect you've tried to reach her, I will destroy you. Do you understand?" His eyes widened with sheer terror. "Alistair, please. I never meant. Spare me." My words were a sharp cut. "You made your choices. Now you deal with the consequences. If you ever contact her again, I'll make sure you lose everything. Your career, your reputation, your entire future. Do not test me, Grant. Do you understand?" He swallowed hard, nodding frantically. "Yes, I understand. I won't see her again, I swear." I held his gaze a moment longer, ensuring the weight of my words settled in, then stood, my message delivered. "Good. And remember, cross me again, and you'll regret it." As I walked out of his office, a dark satisfaction settled in my chest. I had reclaimed control. I had made him afraid. And yet, somehow, it still wasn't enough. Not yet. There was still one last move to play. That evening, when I stepped through the door, Sabrina was waiting in the living room. Her face was streaked with tears, her eyes swollen and red, evidence of hours spent crying. She looked at me with desperation, searching for a trace of mercy. But I felt nothing. My decision was final. "Alistair, please. I regret everything. Just tell me what to do. I'll make it right." Her voice wavered, thick with sorrow, but I remained unmoved. "Don't leave me," she pleaded, her hands shaking. I didn't even flinch. "You made your bed, Sabrina. The moment you betrayed me, you sealed your fate. There's no coming back from this." She dissolved into frantic sobs, but my heart had long since turned to stone. "I don't want you anymore. Not after what you did. My trust is shattered, and with it, any love I had left." Her wails filled the room, but I stood firm. "I hope Grant was worth it, because you'll never have me again." I turned my back on her without another word. As she collapsed, Drowning in her own anguish, I walked away. But this wasn't over. Not yet. The following morning, I sat across from my attorney. The divorce had already been set in motion, but I would make sure Sabrina didn't walk away unscathed. Every asset, every shared possession, every dollar accumulated over 33 years, I had it all documented. No loopholes, no escape. And Grant? He would be severed from her life completely. A legal clause would ensure that any attempt to reach him would result in severe consequences. There would be no clemency, no second chances. Then, I delivered the final blow. I had discovered Sabrina's hidden bank account, the one she had been quietly siphoning money into behind my back. I didn't confront her. I didn't need to. I simply erased it. Every last cent disappeared, forever beyond her grasp. It was cold. It was calculated. But it was justice. And Grant? His downfall was swift. A few well-placed words to the right people ensured he became a pariah. Blacklisted from industry events, barred from professional circles. His reputation was decimated. His career reduced to ashes. There was no way back for him, no way to salvage what I had destroyed. They had made their choices. I had simply ensured they suffered the consequences. This story has come to an end. The moral of this story is simple, yet harsh. Trust is the foundation of any relationship, and once it's broken, there's no going back. Betrayal isn't just an act of infidelity. It's the destruction of everything built over the years. Sometimes, betrayal opens your eyes, revealing who truly stands beside you. Love is important, but so is awareness. Never ignore the warning signs. Don't let blind faith cloud your judgment. Most importantly, remember, respect and honesty are worth more than any vows, and the truth always comes to light, no matter how painful it may be. What's your opinion? Please tell me which city and country you watched this video from, and I'll say goodbye to you until the next video. Goodbye.